Hello students, now we are going to look at this problem where we want to find the independent set, the clique and the vertex cover. So given this graph, how would you approach it? So first of all, we'll find the independent set on this graph. Okay, from that you can get the vertex cover easily, and then we'll see how to find the clique. Okay, so independent set is a subset of vertices for which such that any two vertices in this set doesn't have an edge in the graph. So the heuristic we are going to use is based on the minimal number of uncovered neighbors. So to start with, basically each node has all its neighbors uncovered. So V1 has two of its neighbors uncovered. V2 has all its 5 neighbors not yet covered. By covered, what we mean is this. The vertex is said to be covered if it is part, or if it is in the independent set or is connected to a node that is to a vertex that is in the independent set. Alright, so let's do this. It has 3 uncovered neighbors. This guy has 3 uncovered neighbors. Now this guy has 3 uncovered neighbors. Alright, so what we're going to do is this. So include the node that has the minimum number of uncovered neighbors. So my independent set is going to be, so we have a tie here, either V1 or V3, so we go with V1. So when we wrote this, we can also say the covered nodes are going to be V1 is covering itself, V2 is covered, now V4 is covered. So which means these are all zeros now. V2 is, let's put the others, V4 is covered, right? So it's covering itself, so it should not be considered at all, right? So just remove this and V4 is going to be removed. So now you have V3 that has one uncovered neighbor, which is V6. V5 has one uncovered neighbor, which is V6, and V6 has V3 and V5 has uncovered. So we go with the minimum of those 3. So we'll have V3. So V3 is now covering V6, so we remove that, and V5 doesn't have any uncovered neighbors, but it has to cover itself, right? So we'll have V5, right? So of course this gets filled up. So when V3 was selected, V3 and V6 are covered, and then V5 covers itself, right? So once we find the independent set, we can say the vertex cover is going to be everything except those independent sets. So it's going to be V2, V4 and V6. Now we can verify if we choose any two vertices in this independent set, V1 and V3, there's no edge between them. V3 and V5, no edge. V1, V5, there's no edge. Okay, and for any edge in the graph, there is one of the two end vertices is one of these 3 at least. So if you have V1, V2, V2 is the end vertex, V2, V3, V2, V2, V6, both V2 and V6, V2, V4, V2 and V4, V2, V5, any edge in the graph, at least one of these vertices will be the end vertices. So now how to find the clique? So for the clique, we have to do a transformation, which means we have to develop a complement graph of this graph. Alright, so which is going to be something like this: V1, V2, V3, So this is V4, this is V5, this is V6. So V1 is connected to V2 and V4, so it's now can be connected to V5 and V6, and it can be connected to V3 V2 is connected to all the 5, so it's kind of standalone here. Then V3 is connected to V2 and V6, so it's connected to V1. It has to be now connected to V5 and V4. Now V4 is connected to V1, V2, V5, so V4 has to be connected to V5 and V1 is V4 is connected to V1, V2, V5, so V4 to V6. We need an edge. V4 to V3 is already here, so let me connect V4 to V6. Okay, so V6 is connected to these three, so it should be connected to V1 and V4, which is here. Okay, so I think it's fine now. V5 is connected to V1 and V3. Good. So now we find an independent set on this, and that is going to be the clique on this. Okay, so how did we construct this? There should not be any edge which is here. So if there's an edge here, there's no edge here. On the other hand, if there's no edge here, we have an edge here, right? Okay, so the number of uncovered vertices to start with is 3. For this it's going to be neighbors 2. For this is going to be 2. For this is going to be 3. This is going to be 2. And this is 0. So we go with the minimum number of uncovered neighbors. So the independent set right away will have V2 to get started, and then you discard or don't consider this anymore. So now we pick the minimum of these 3, which is of these 2 uncovered neighbors. We'll go with the minimum label, which is V4. So once you can put V4, it covers itself, it covers these guys, so they are not considered. Okay, and now between these two, so now you have each requiring to cover the other. So when I pick one of these two, say V1, it's going to cover V3, right? So my clique is going to be the same thing. So this is going to be my clique on the original graph. So you can cross verify, which means if I pick any two, V2 and V4, there's an edge between them. V2 and V1, there is an edge between them. V1 and V4, there's an edge between them. Okay.